Calling about 145,000 SUVs due to an airbag problem. According to the automaker, the curtain shield airbag on the driver's side may not work properly during a crash. More on these stories at townhall.com.
For anyone living with everyday aches and pains, I've got a question. What are you missing out on? What are you not doing that you wish you were? What would you do if you felt better? The answer is likely a lot. That's why I want to tell you about Relief Factor. Relief Factor is a 100% drug-free daily supplement that helps your body fight pain naturally. Developed by doctors, it's been incredibly effective, even life-changing for so many people. Relief Factor uses a unique formula of natural ingredients. It doesn't just mask pain, it helps reduce or even eliminate it. In about 3 weeks, you'll know if it's working because you'll feel the difference all day, every day. Whether it's your low back joints or muscle pain, if you're looking to feel better, live better. Give Relief Factor a try. Go to relieffactor.com or call 1-800-4RELIEF and save on your first order. That's 1-800-4RELIEF. Here's to less missing out and more living life with relief.
It's like something out of the movie 2001: A Space Odyssey.
A strange monolith found jutting out of the rocks in a remote mountain range near Las Vegas has been taken down by authorities. Its discovery over the weekend and quick removal revives a pandemic-era mystery that captured the public's imagination when similar objects began to appear around the world. How it got there is still a mystery. Members of the police department's search and rescue team had discovered the object over the weekend near Gas Peak, part of the vast Desert National Wildlife Refuge. Keith Peterson reporting.
The Starliner test mission at the International Space Station is extended again. Astronauts Butch Wilmore and Sonny Williams won't return to Earth this weekend, as planned. NASA says that they're now looking at undocking of the Starliner from the International Space Station next week, landing by parachute in the southwest U.S. on Wednesday. News and analysis at townhall.com. Well, they're calling it the Fountain of Youth inside the weight room of a gym.
Don't be afraid of signing up for weight training at the gym and going 2 to 3 times a week. That's the advice of Dr. Marcus Baman, a research scientist at the Florida Institute for Human and Machine Cognition. He says men and women in their 60s can develop the same muscle strength and function as those in their 30s after just a few months. Baman says first check it out with your doctor to make sure it's okay, and then find a gym with a good instructor to teach the proper way to do weight resistance training, which he calls the Fountain of Youth. I'm Jackie Quinn.
A 71-year-old woman in Texas is making history. Marissa Tejo, now the oldest contestant to compete in the Miss Texas USA pageant. The organization recently changed the rules and removed age limits for contestants under 18. More on these stories at townhall.com.
The opinions expressed on this program are those of the host
1 minute.
and do not express the views of WBDF ownership or Hometown Talk Radio. Content aired on all programs are those of the host and their guests. Hey, what's happening? I mean, what's happening in Middleboro and surrounding towns? It's time for the Middleboro Weekend Review with your host, Joe Driscoll. Stay tuned for news, Middleboro news.
And then he could be part of the show. Joey has some housekeeping things he has to do.
Yeah, there's a couple housekeeping things here in the first segment I gotta do.
But yeah, you can do red mic here.
Right there.
Just one side.
There you go. 3, 2, 1. And good morning and welcome to Middleboro in Review. I am Joey Driscoll and joined by Dawn this morning and joined by a special guest this morning as well. Middleboro School Committee member Sue Panini. Good morning.
Good morning to you. How are you this morning?
I'm doing amazing this morning. Dawn, how are you doing?
I'm doing all right. You're lying. You're not doing amazing. Tell me you're not feeling that good. How come?
Well, thanks.
Smile.
Thanks, Dawn.
Smile.
Thanks for letting the cat out of the bag, Dawn.
Yeah.
You know, I'm
That's a little
feeling good
reverse.
enough.
That's a little bit of reverse psychology. Now you'll feel better.
You know, I'm feeling good enough to be here talking. and being chipper this morning, so that's a good thing.
Dipper, right? Yeah. Good morning, Joey.
So, whatever is ailing me, I'm ignoring it this morning. And
Yeah, well, you know what? I'll smile.
forward.
Smiles like Mr. Rock.
Anyway,
smiles, everybody.
So, we have our weather this morning, and then we have our Today in Histories, and then we're going to be interviewing Sue Panini this morning here in just a few minutes. So, let's do our weather. We have Taunton, Massachusetts. It is raining outside, or kind of raining? Or,
Drizzle dizzle.
I don't know what it's doing out there. It's cloudy at least, but 67 degrees. 85 today for the high. We're at the low right now, so that's interesting. 85 tomorrow. 63 tomorrow for the low. 90 on Tuesday. Clear skies. Going to be a hot one on Tuesday. Middleboro, 67 degrees, a high of 85 today. We're at the low right now. Again, pretty much the same kind of weather as Taunton. 90 degrees on Tuesday, so it's going to be pretty hot. Driscoll, North Dakota, 82 degrees for the high today. 57 for the low. We're at the low. So we got the same thing going on throughout here. Our weather report is that we're at the low for the day. But clear skies today, nice and sunny today. No rain in the forecast in Driscoll, North Dakota, and it's going to be pretty warm all week in Driscoll, North Dakota. Driscoll, Texas. It is 78 degrees, and we're at the low. So there you go. All four places that I just mentioned are at its forecasted low today, which that's interesting. I don't think that's ever happened.
No, that's not happened with those the four towns you talk about.
Yeah.
And Driscoll, Texas is usually, an oven at this point in time.
And it is going to be, well, not as bad. 92 today.
And to remind the audience why we do the weather report for Driscoll, Texas and Driscoll, North Dakota is because the show is Joey Driscoll, so I mean that's our little niche there.
That's our little
some people like it. They think it's cute.
Yes. So we have Today in Histories, and let me find the right date. There we go. I do my Today in Histories a little bit ahead of time too, so I have Today in Histories in here from for August.
You could get a job for speed rating before when you were doing the Today in Histories because you're running up against the time. So you got to run up.
I'm not doing that again.
But no, what's great about it is we have a guest. We can talk to the guest about, because we, it's always good to get the guest input about the histories and whoever we're talking about.
Yeah, so we have our Today in Histories today. We have a lot of Today in Histories today, so let's get to it. 1887, the Rocky Mountains Park Act becomes law in Canada, creating the nation's first national park, which is Banff National Park. 1894, the International Olympic Committee is founded in Sorbonne in Paris, the IOC. And where is the Olympics this year, Don?
Atlanta? LA? No clue. Paris.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I think you told me that a month ago. Yeah.
Unless Atlanta moved to Paris, no. The Olympics are in Paris this year. So
you know what? Wasn't Bruce Jenner in the Olympics? That's the last time I really remember the Olympics.
This is at the initiative of Pierre de Coubertin. I'm saying that name correctly. 1917, in a game against the Washington Senators, the Boston Red Sox pitcher Ernie Shore retires 26 batters in a row, replacing Babe Ruth, who had been ejected for punching an umpire. Very interesting there. 1926, the College Board administers the first SAT. 1961, the Antarctic Treaty System, which sets aside Antarctica as a scientific preserve and limits military activity on the continent. Its islands and ice shelves come into force. So that's pretty important there. And 2016, a pretty important day in history for the United Kingdom. which today is June 23rd. June 23rd, 2016, the United Kingdom votes in a referendum to leave the European Union, 52-48. Brexit happens on this day. 1912, birthdays now. Alan Turing, an English mathematician and computer science scientist, very important person in history. 1929, June Carter Cash, American singer-songwriter, musician, and actress, passed away in 2003, just a couple of months before Johnny Cash would pass away.
You always hear about
Yes.
husbands and wives dying of a broken heart, and you think that might have been it, because
Yeah.
it's that was, I think that was the case with a lot of people who's had passed and was so close to their husband or wife.
Yeah. 1955, Glenn Danzig, American singer-songwriter, producer, lead singer Danzig, lead singer of many bands, really great singer. He kind of one of his major influences is Elvis, which that's pretty interesting there. 1956, Randy Jackson, American bass player and producer. He was in Journey. I think he's currently in Journey right now. I think he's currently in Journey. He replaced the bass player that was in Journey before. There's some legal stuff going on between members and Journey, and the bass player left. And Randy Jackson, I believe, is the new bass player right now for Journey. He was a bass player for a band called Striper as well, and I'm sure some other bands in there along the way. Randy Jackson, great musician, and he was on, I think he's on American Idol as well still, and that's pretty cool too. 1974, Joel Egerton, an Australian actor. Don, we got a Star Wars related birthday here because he was in Attack of the Clones, Revenge of the Sith. He reprised his role as Owen Lars for the series Obi-Wan Kenobi as well.
Okay, right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Uncle Owen.
Uncle Owen in the original movie too, right? How old?
No, well,
How old
not in the original movie, 1974.
Oh, born in 74.
Yes.
Oh, okay, right. That dude was supposed to be.
In the sequel, in the prequels.
Right.
The prequels.
Yeah.
All right, so we have that, and that is. We have a couple of more. I forgot we had a second page. All right, 1978, Matt Light, American football player and sportscaster, and 1979, LaDainian Tomlinson, also an American football player as well. Matt Light played for the Patriots. LaDainian Tomlinson played for the Chargers. And our passings today, 2009, Ed McMahon, American game show host and announcer.
Ed McMahon was a war hero. He was unbelievable. He was a Marine in the South Pacific, and it's just it's funny too because he never really played the tough guy.
No.
Yeah, he was always happy. He was Johnny's sidekick, and I think he was in a few, did a couple game shows, America's Got Talent or whatever, so a show like that. And but it just goes to show that he was, he came out like a gentleman, but I mean, he was in the worst place you can be in the South Pacific in World War II as a Marine. Mm-hmm. So I mean, my hat's off to him. I have a lot of respect for that guy.
And Columbo passed away on this day.
Oh,
Peter Columbo.
No. Columbo? Yeah, it's funny. He would be like such a pain. When you ever watch Columbus?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. He's such a pain. He'd walk out, he'd never go away. And it's funny too, watching the old Columbos, you got like William Shatner, would be like all these different people, and Leonard Nimoy, he was on it and stuff. So.
And I think that was on until like 2002. That was
off and
quite
on.
a while.
Off and on. Then there was a Mrs. Columbo with Kate Mulgrew, was her name, and she went on to be on Star Trek Voyager as Captain Janeway.
All right, well, that is our Today in History's passings and birthdays, and any last thoughts on those?
No, how are you, Sue? Any last thoughts on anything?
No, nothing jumps out at me other than your first one about the Rocky Mountains because I'm going to the Rocky Mountains on Tuesday. So.
Oh yeah, I saw squeal around on the chair when you said that. Whereabouts you going to the Rocky Mountains?
Grand Lake, Colorado, just outside of Boulder.
Flying out. You go
flying out to Denver, and then it's like a 2-hour drive from there. We're going. My niece is being married there.
Oh, great.
Yeah,
That's awesome.
Yeah, I've not been to the Rockies before, so.
No, first time?
First time, so looking forward to it.
What's the farthest west you've ever been? I mean, you've been to California before, but you've just never been to the Rockies.
Correct.
You flew over the Rockies, probably.
Correct. I remember flying over the Rockies and seeing them, but never been on the ground seeing them.
You gotta listen to that John Denver song, then, right?
There you go. There you go. There you go.
What you dial it in on your Bluetooth when you get your rent a car or when you get picked up.
Exactly.
At the airports. Mandatory.
All right, 7:20 a.m. We're going to take our first commercial break right now. When we come back, we are going to have an interview with Sue Panini, and we'll be right back here on Middleboro in Review. Yeah, Middleboro in Review on 15:30 a.m., 99.7 FM. Almost call this like Middleboro Matters. I almost call.
Well,
this...
you've been doing 5 different shows in the last 2 weeks.
Yeah, I was doing Hometown Talk this week.
We were on Hometown Talk on Thursday, and
this past week.
And you're doing this, and you're doing that, and then so.
It is Middleboro Interview. Today is the 23rd of June, 2024, and we'll be right back here on Middleboro Interview and also WVBF 1530 AM 99.7 FM.
How long are you staying for?
It's going out Tuesday and coming back Monday.
Oh, yeah. There you go.
Yep. We're looking forward to it.
Flying out of Boston?
Yep.
Yeah.
One of my daughters is leaving today with her husband and 2 children. They're
really?
going out longer. Yeah, they got a house on a lake. They're made a full vacation.
There you go. Nice. How many kids you got?
3 daughters.
3 daughters?
Yeah.
No sons, huh?
No sons, but I have 8 grandchildren. So we got the boys. 5 of them are turning 3 granddaughters.
Awesome.
They range ages 26 to 2.
They're open Monday through Thursday, 8 to 5.
That's awesome.
8 to 4 on Fridays.
I got him only.
You will not be disappointed.
You're in, huh? That's a lot of pressure.
Yeah. My clone.
Check this out. It's our new local talk show lineup. Mondays and Fridays on AM 1530 and 99.7 FM.
One more ad after this here, and then we'll be back.
All right.
On Tuesday, Wednesdays, and Friday, it's Coffee with Tony. Starting right after the 9 a.m. news.
This is great.
deal. Content
I
and
work for an oil
know why I
programs are those of the
I have
host
my own
and
radio
their
station
guests.
too, and that kind of hit a little bit. Whatever. A friend of mine was a chef. He ended up sticking it out and staying in it.
All right, 3, 2, 1, and 0. And we're back. So I turned down the bumper music. There we go. I am Joey Driscoll, joined by Dawn this morning, and joined by school committee member in Middleboro, Sue Panini. Good morning again, Sue.
Good morning to you again.
So our first question is, how did you get interested in wanting to run for school committee?
That's a very long story. I've always been interested, as long as I can remember, in serving. My father was a school committee member in Middleboro for 16 years growing up. And both my parents were very involved in the town, different boards and committees, and it was something that they instilled in us in a sense of community. And I had always thought education's my field. I always thought that it was something that I wanted to do. It took me until I was 69 years old to actually do it because my career really over in Milton really took me away from Middleboro. It was pretty all-consuming, and so I really didn't have the time. If I was going to do it, I wanted to do it well, and I didn't have the time to devote to it. So when I retired 2 years, I always said when I retired that I would, and when I retired 2 years ago, took me a year, but then I decided it was time.
Yeah, we talked about your background, education history. Can you share on what we've done and
Sure. Sure. Education's my field. I began actually as a resource room teacher in the Votex in the area, and then at Taunton High School for 6 years, I believe. And then I went over to Curry College and worked in their program for bright students with learning differences as a faculty member there from 83 until 95, 96. And then I moved into the administration at Curry College and remained there until in administration, serving in a variety of positions. The final being the Vice President of Institutional Planning. I was responsible for strategic planning, the building, the development plan for the college, and a variety of other things. So I remained there until 2022.
Wow, that's a resume, yeah. That's an awesome resume. I mean, to bring to the Middleboro School Committee, I mean, to have all that knowledge and all that background is definitely a asset to the community. That's great. And as far as your vision for the Middleboro Public Schools, we talked to Zeke a few weeks ago, and he was. We talked to him back and forth, but he was like. He always went back to budget. He always thinking he budget in his head, the budget, getting more stuff. That was his he focused on a lot. I mean, we had a great interview, but that seemed like that was his wheelhouse. He's just like the budget. How can we get this for the students? How can we get that for the students? As a college administrator, as far as what's the difference? I mean, between budgets that you dealt with in college than like a public school? Is there a big difference, or is it sort of the same as far as the budgetary,
Now you also need to remember that I've been on the school committee since April.
Okay. All right, yeah.
So
we have plenty of time.
And we're
2 months in session, and then the summer, right?
Right. Well, actually, the summer. I think that the summer is a really important time.
Yeah.
Summers, in my experience, has been that summer in education is a time that you really plan.
Right.
And so you have a little break from having the direct services,
Right.
but you need to get ready for that. So
Right,
really
yeah.
spending time, and so your question is a timely one because this is a time when you can really delve in and understand things better,
Right.
and look to the future, and start planning and building for that. As far as your original question around the difference between the two, I've had some visibility to the school budget as I was preparing to run. We're about to meet with the finance committee and then the select board and delve in a little bit more on the budget. But from what I've seen, in most everything that I've seen thus far, between the college and the public school system, they're all the same topics, they're all the same categories. How it's operationalized is different.
Okay.
But you're talking the same topics of what you're trying to accomplish, and where the monies are coming from are different. I was at a private institution for the college, so it's all generated by tuition and whatever the endowment provides. Whereas in the public sector, is what the government is providing, both state and locally, for you. Both are unpredictable. What you're going to receive for tuitions, you project what you're going to receive.
Right.
In the public schools, same thing, what the state's going to provide for their allocations. You predict what you think it's going to be, but you have to wait until you actually get the notifications to know exactly what that's going to be, and there seems to be indicators of what the allocations are going to be, but you don't know exactly what those are going to be yet. Thus far, that's what I understand, and I think another one, and it's one that we're going to be looking at as I talked with Carolyn, the superintendent, is in both places, the college and now at the public school, is alternative sources for revenue. At the college, we would lease out our facilities to camps and things in the summer. Middleboro is beginning to think about how is it that we can use our facilities more, that we can bring in some revenues that will help support the budget.
Yeah, I mean, they got a beautiful high school. They got auditoriums for any kind of functions, any kind of concerts, private concerts, per se. And then we have in town, we have theaters that are smaller. So if those theaters sell out, they need a bigger venue, they can go on to the auditorium size, and that's I always thought that was a good way of looking at things, because like they say, if you don't drive a car for 3 months, it gets rusty, and you got to keep things kind of moving along. Kind of thing, it's just and there's revenue being made, and there's no problem, and the facilities is fine, and nothing's getting ruined or taken away from the students as far as a hall rental. That don't matter.
Yeah, and the fields also, the athletic facilities.
Yeah, that's all right.
That's another one.
Yes.
I know at the college even the scoreboards for advertising for, they provide. We leased out space on our scoreboards for Pepsi and whatever, so you get revenues that way. So there are a variety of ways that can be leveraged for the good of the town.
Yeah, no, that's definitely a good idea. I always thought that was a great idea. Advertising to a certain point, to a certain point, I think.
Sure.
I mean, because you look at the subway cars sometimes, and it's all wrapped. It's just like, all right, give me a couple wrapped with the advertisement, but not the whole fleet. It's just, it's just like, I mean, you got some soda company taking over your transit service. I don't know, you know what I'm saying? I mean, if it's bringing in enough money, that's fine. But don't cry to me later that there's not money if all our subway cars look like a bottle of Coke
or if your big national train service has trains that look like Pepsi cans.
Right. And then cry to me that you don't have enough money.
Yeah.
So I mean that's, but I mean as far as what you said, that's pretty good. It's a good way of just going about doing it, and plus you have facilities for the community too.
That's
People
right.
who
Yeah.
want it. And yeah, Joey.
So going into the 2024-2025 school year, what are some of the things that the school committee is going to be looking at when it comes to the schools?
I think one of our first priorities, the school committee right now is a fairly green group of people. I think that the Zeke maybe has the longest tenure, and that might be 2 years. The rest of us are 2, 1, and me a couple months. And one of the things that we want to do this summer is really reevaluate ourselves of how it is that we are operating as a school committee, where our priorities are, and how it is that we function. And so we are looking right now to work with the Massachusetts Association of School Committees, MASC, are going to come in the next few weeks and work with us of making sure that we are functioning the way that we should, as far as best practices are, so that we really are sure to be able to answer your question of what is it that we are focusing on. Not that those that have been there last year aren't ready to look at what it is that we're going to be focusing on. But the school committee has not done that for many years. And things have changed. The way that school committees operate, the way that the district is operating. And so we want to be sure that we're doing it in a way that meets best practices. Having said that, we are actually just now getting ready to work with the superintendent to establish the goals for 24-25, right? 24-25. And we are in the midst of looking at information that she will be bringing to us, information that we have on our own, and getting together to establish those goals.
Joey, the class, TV production with Mr. Pelletier.
Yes.
And awesome setup. I mean, great opportunity. Got him into working for the town. I think got him this job. Helped, But do you see any shortfalls as far as any programs? I mean, I know you only been there a few months or whatnot, but you don't see any shortfalls for any programs, for anything that might be canceled or anything as far as
because of the budget?
Yeah, is the budget good?
Yeah,
That's pretty much what I'm saying.
Yeah, and I have to say, again, I'm going to preface everything with, I'm just starting.
Yeah, that's all right, but I mean,
that's
the best person to ask sometimes.
Yeah.
People, because it's a fresh set of eyes.
Yeah.
You look at it from a different perspective.
I think that they did a very good job of taking what was handed to them this year for the budget and the reductions that were from the state that were given, and putting together a budget that continued to fund the programs and the most essential teaching and learning. You hear about these other towns now that, have the shortfalls and they're canceling programs, they're laying people off. That is not something Middleboro is doing, and I do think that it is because of some of the creative things that were done to make this year's budget work. And now it's time to really delve in and make sure that that's sustainable. Or not to make sure, but figure ways that we make that sustainable.
I lived in Middleboro since 2004. I'm not sure how long you've lived in Middleboro for.
Since 1955.
Still a little tenure on us in the Middleboro department, but that's fine. I mean, 20 years from now, But
69 for me.
All right. It just seems like Middleboro does things right because they're more of an in-house situation as far as good services, as far as a lot of they think in-house across the board. And I think if you have that mentality, you're thinking in-house, like they have their own schools. It's not the school doesn't share with another town. Okay,
Yeah.
it has its own school. So the power company and the gas companies in-house. There's so many things that are in-house as far as Middleboro's thinking. And do you think that has a lot to do with the success? Because I don't know, it's just he went to school for some odd years and we've never had a problem with him. He's always had everything he needed. We never heard anybody in shortfalls or any problems. He's always got what he needed as far as everything. And you're talking, 18 years in school, not thinking about a problem. You don't have any problems coming up this year. Do you think the in-house mentality works better for like a municipality than all these outsourcing stuff?
Interesting question. We do. So one of the places that we do have collaboration is for the VOTEC, right?
Yeah.
And Bristol Plymouth is, they're having that big renovation and rebuilding this year, and I think that's an important resource for our kids.
Yep.
Do I think that Middleboro is best served by having its own school system? Sure.
The in-house mentality, pretty much, town-wide as far as all the services.
Yeah, I mean, the gas and electric, by far, probably of any of our services is as far as how well we are served by owning our own gas and electric company, and what that means to all of our bills, and how that's run and the service that we get is just incredible.
It's incredible. 2018, when we had all that bad storm in March, and half the South Shore was out of power for days. We lost power for 6 hours. 6 hours. And Pembroke and Hanover and all those towns out there were off for 7 days. That's the whole idea. You got a smaller group of areas, smaller group of people. It's not such a big area to cover. You got everything covered. I feel in a it's your own school systems. I think town-wide, in my opinion, you just know the people better. You just know the students better. It's just more of a.
We're also a small town, smallish. We're getting bigger.
Second biggest town in Massachusetts.
No, just in size. Just in size.
I know.
My daughter lives in Winthrop, and they have the same population in a 2 square mile area.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I know. It's just size.
It's the size.
Yeah, and technically, I want to get technical now, right?
Yeah.
I think Middleboro is the biggest for normal town because
For a normal town, it's
because of Plymouth.
Plymouth, most of it's state park.
Yeah, exactly.
So I mean,
Exactly.
but for a real town.
Not to take anything away from Plymouth.
No, I want to take away with anything,
Yeah.
but in-house, we talked about this before, and I talked about this with a lot of people who ever had in here. It's just Taunton has an in-house electricity, They have their own public schools. It's just, I feel it works better, in my opinion. And what we never really had any problem with Joey's schooling. Never gotten that bad letter, we're canceling this, we're canceling that.
Yeah.
And I've had friends who work in Quincy at the school systems, and they tell me about some of the stuff that goes on over there. We not have money for this or that.
Yeah, and and one of the things and these are the kinds of things that I'm, just really beginning to get. I'm a very data-driven person, so I like to look at, rather, in addition to individual people's experiences, of looking at information that really describes how the system is working as a whole.
Yeah.
And one of the first ones that I took a look at that I was pleased to see was the class sizes. Middleboro's class sizes in the elementary schools, and for the type of town that we are, is really good. When you're talking 20, 21 students in the elementary schools, and the younger ones it's less. you know, that's not a bad size. That's very workable, and you know, I was very pleased to see that.
It's funny you say that. I had a talk with a good friend of mine who used to be a school teacher, and we talked about the class sizes and how 21, 22 is like perfect, but when you start getting into 29, 30, it's just
It's very
you
difficult.
don't have a handle around everybody.
No.
And there's always a couple kids that might fall through the cracks, or you can't keep up or whatever. But from experience, my friend, because he's had to deal with high, you know, big class sizes too,
Mm-hmm.
and it's consistency has a lot to do with too, because if 1 year you have 21, and then all of a sudden, say 25, 26, now you got now you got another 5, 8 or whatever. It's just you gotta find that consistency. So if you have a uptick in population, say you know that summer you have a bunch of families move in and more kids. I mean, you gotta scramble for another teacher, you gotta scramble for another classroom.
Mm-hmm.
What do? You know, you stick them back and increase the size. That's the whole thing. That's your whole planning. That's what you said about planning. You gotta plan things because, I mean, if you had 21 in your class last year and all of a sudden you show up and now you got 28.
Yeah.
It creates a little bit of a problem for the
Yeah.
student and the teacher, right?
Yeah, and a wise person once told me at the college, it's easy to plan for short term, and it's easy to plan for long term, but it is the most complex and difficult to plan for both at the same time. And that's the challenge for the school systems, is how do I both plan for this year and make sure things are going along as they should, but also looking 10 years out and saying, how do I plan for the future in a way that it doesn't come and bite me, not understanding what's going to be coming in the future.
Yeah, like tribbles. You know what I mean? They come out of nowhere, right?
Yeah,
You know? Yeah, just so many of them, and I mean, there you go. You see your dad. You look at data, and then obviously you look at the roles. You know, who moved in, who the new people. You know, obviously you got the graduation class that's out.
Yeah.
They're out. So now you got the 11th graders moving out, 10th, and then you got the new people coming in on 9th grade or whatnot. But
yeah, but it's the entire system. So that's a very good point that you make. Is when you say look at who's coming in and who's going out and where the growth in the town is, because our elementary school system is based on what school you go to is based on where in town you live. And if you have extreme growth in one section of the town as compared to the other, well, you're really going to need to be thinking about that, of how that's going to be impacting the schools as those kids start to come into the schools. And I believe that's something that we're really going to need to grapple with, because our downtown area is going to be growing.
Yep.
With the apartments and all that are coming in.
Well, the new, we got South Coast Rail coming in now too.
Yep.
Well, they're delayed again.
Right.
How do you feel about
When it
that?
does
How do you feel about? Do you hear about the South Coast Rail getting delayed again?
I did hear about it. I don't know enough about it to be able to opine on that topic.
We opine enough on the show.
Oh, yeah,
BTS, believe me. We're opining and then some.
Yeah. So let's take our last commercial break right now. When we come back, we'll have some more with Stu Panini and Don.
Yeah.
We'll have both views.
No, see, he's getting better. See, my little trick this morning, throwing him in the oven about how he was feeling. Now he feels good. It's got reverse psychology, right? Yeah, I don't know. I'm always dad now. What do I know?
All right, 7:47 a.m. We'll be right back here on Middleboro in Review. I'm Joey Driscoll. This is WVBF 15:30 a.m. And again, we'll be right back.
I went to Quincy Public Schools.
Yeah.
All right, and it seemed like I always wondered, because when I went to 9th grade, we had normal class size, and then 10th grade it's you go from 23 to 35, like in one setting. Even I went to a Vo-Tech school, so but I mean, as far as the classrooms, over in Quincy High, it's just they just couldn't get the balance right.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
So I don't. That seems like a tough job. to do, to try to nail that in.
In my time in Middleboro as a kid, I was on double sessions in the 6th grade, 9th grade, 10th grade, and 11th grade.
Yeah, you graduated.
73.
So you graduated from new school.
Yeah,
The
we
new,
were
the new old school.
The new old school.
Yeah. He graduated at 17. You guys graduated in the same building. I love it.
That was the first full year. 72 graduated out of it, but they were only there for a few months.
Yeah.
We were there for the full year.
Oh, okay. Oh, really? So you were the first full year?
Yeah.
Were you the last year? You weren't the last year.
No.
Yeah, he was 17.
2020 might have been.
They did the half year.
22, I think.
I think 20.
Yeah,
so
they did a half a year and then they moved in already for
Yeah.
vacation.
Yeah, it was 22.
We'll talk about the schools, the buildings and stuff next. Do you know about it?
A little bit.
I think the buildings are in good shape from what I hear.
Yeah.
At least from what I'm hearing. I know that we got the new high school. We got the new roof project that was done on the elementary.
Anything you want me to ask?
Not Parkland, but the other one, Memorial.
You started to ask about the vision for the schools.
Yep.
And you went straight to budget.
So budget?
Yeah. The budget's not the vision for the school.
Okay.
The vision for the school is how you educate kids.
Well, budget has a lot to do with getting the kids educated.
Yeah, a little bit. Absolutely.
You know, if you don't have the money, you're not educating nobody. You know?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Okay. Good questions? All right.
Very good question.
Yeah, so I mean, I think the high school's in a good spot. And new high school, the Memorial is in a very good spot too, and also Mary Kay Good in Berkland. I haven't been in there in a while, but I think it's a good spot.
Yeah, he went to Berkland, Mary Kay, Nichols, and then the high school.
Yeah, that building's been through a lot. The Berkland.
Yeah,
Mary Kay Good.
That's what they call it, the complex.
Yeah. Had a fire in 1988.
I remember it well.
Yeah.
Been through a lot.
I mean, living in town has a lot to do with it, right?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay. 320. That's all right up. Alright, 3, 2, 1, 0. And we are back here on Middleboro in Review. And before we continue with our interview with Sue Panini, got some blood drives to talk about. Try to talk about these every single week, either on this show or on Middleboro Matters. But I'm going to talk about it on this show today. Blood drives. We have one coming up this upcoming Friday at Wareham Council on Aging in 48 Marion Road in Wareham, 12 p.m. to 5 p.m. for that blood drive. We have several in July. The first one we have is Tuesday. Oh, we have one in July, not several. We have several in August. We have one in July. July 23rd, which is Tuesday, at Kalanick Community Health Center, 5 Wally Kruger Way, Bridgewater, 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. And then we have two in August. We have Friday, August 9th at the Church of Our Savior, 60 Union Street in Middleboro, 10 a.m. to 2:30 p.m. And then we have one Saturday, the 10th of August, at Christ Community Church, 41 Stephen Street in East Taunton, 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. for that blood drive. So quite a few blood drives coming up here in June, July, and August. So pretty important. If you're able to give blood, and there has been some new guidelines when it comes to people who may have been exposed to mad cow disease in the 80s, you can now screen for that much better than several years ago, and in the 80s. They can now screen for that much better, and there's been a change in guidelines for that as well.
That's good that you say that, because a lot of people,
Yes.
who are affected with that think they can never get blood. So, I mean, by you saying this, now that, wow, I had an issue back in 85, 86, and now I'm going to be able to tell, that's good. I mean, because sometimes when you can't do something, in the back of your head, you think it's forever, and it's good that you mentioned that.
Yeah.
So.
So, Don, last questions.
Yeah, the last question here. We're talking about budget, right? Money, right?
Money, money, money.
But I need to ask you, what's your vision for the schools? What is the vision of the schools? That's a better way of asking you.
Well, I think actually your first question might be more on point. I don't speak for the school committee. I'm speaking for myself.
Oh, okay, right.
Though I'm not the first one to say it, I can't imagine anyone disagreeing with. And in terms of a broad vision, is that we want to be sure that we're creating an educational environment that is meeting the needs of all students. And that can be segmented in a variety of different ways, making sure that we are both providing inspiration as well as support, so that students are able to achieve their goals and their success, and how it is that we do that. And a variety, you have spoken about Joey's experience, what he was able to do in the radio station. That was a goal for him.
Yeah, TV production.
TV production.
Yeah.
So the school system was able to do that in that kind of way. But there are a variety of different ways that you need to slice and dice and look and make sure that you're providing the education and the support for students to access that education in a way that they're able to achieve their goals, and in an environment that's conducive for learning for everyone. And that's really the broad vision. How that gets segmented out, and you look at different schools as you begin to talk about, you look at different segments of the population, all of those different things, and how it is that we're achieving that. That is really what excites me. Having been a long time resident of the town, I love Middleboro. I had a wonderful experience going through, and I think building that community starts really first with our families, and secondly with our school system, and how it is that we bring our values into that school system to support who we want to be as a community is incredibly important. And then that all gets funded by the budget. But setting what the priorities are starts with what the vision is.
Well, you go with what you have as far as budget. So you make best of what you have.
Of course.
I mean, going back to Little House on the Prairie, Miss Beatles class,
Yeah.
And then they had a budget and they dealt with it, right? It's funny. I drive by Pembroke, and there's an old school in Pembroke that went from 1858 to 1924. It's a one-room schoolhouse.
Yeah.
So I mean, that's your roots. That's where everyone started, and now it's come to. It's a huge conglomerate school of many classes, and my son is on the radio because I think Middleboro Public Schools. I think he got his chops. He was in front of the camera.
Yeah.
17, doing what was the name of that show you did? There was a show you did. You
on MacCam?
Yeah, not MacCam. He worked for MacCam.
I worked for MacCam.
But
as well.
there was like one of the proudest moments I had because they had. What was that auction? That was a silent auction they had, and he did the sound. And he had a choice to work for Karen, who worked for MacCam. He was working for MacCam, or work for Mr. Pelletier.
Yeah.
For the school.
Yeah.
So the school was there and MacCam was there.
Yeah, that's wonderful.
So he said he didn't take the money. He would have got paid. But he decided Mr. Pelletier needed him. Hey, I need you, Joey. I need you to do sound.
Yeah.
Care for sound and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And he's sitting there, and talk about. When you have respect for your teachers and you love your teachers and you want to make your teachers proud,
right?
That is something that you can't make that up. I mean, all the policy in the world, all the statements, everything people say, the whole idea between a relationship between a student and a teacher, and the student having pride and not letting the teacher down is huge. I've had teachers. I had a teacher, Mr. Carney. I did a book report. I did such a good job on it because I had so much respect for this guy.
Sure.
He, the guy was in Vietnam. He says, I don't want you doing stuff on the American-Vietnam War. We talk about it all the time. So I did it on the French-Vietnam War. He's like, okay, I guess you got me. All right? But then everyone learned about that because we weren't talking about that because it was a sort of an English history in a way.
Yeah.
He did English, but he went into history, so.
And what you're talking about in terms of Joey's experiences, is fabulous. We can always do better.
Right.
And the kinds of things that when you ask what are we looking at, one of the focuses for Carolyn has, and in terms of their strategic plan, is how they align the curriculum so that it is a more seamless pathway from when you start in kindergarten and you're aligning the curriculum right through to graduation, because we need to improve our graduation rates.
Right.
We need to, so that's, and maybe the graduation rates of certain demographics of students, and all of those things. How do we look at those in a way to make sure that everyone has the same kind of experience that Joey did?
Right. But the quality teachers has a lot to do with it. It has a lot to do with the mindset of the child.
Absolutely.
I mean, I have a friend of mine who was a teacher, and everyone called Mr. G. Mr. G, come and help me, Mr. G. Everyone loved Mr. G. You know what I mean? It's just...
Yeah. And quality teachers that have the passion for their students. And then I think another thing that we're focusing on is how we equip them with the best teaching practices possible, as, the world is changing in terms of technology and all of and how students are accessing their information. How are we making sure that these faculty with a passion have access and understanding of how to use all of these tools to engage students in a way that keeps their passion going.
Right.
If you had outdated equipment, I don't know if you would have been I don't care how passionate Mr. Pelletier had been, if you had analog equipment, that would have taken away your passion a little bit. And so that is another thing that we are focusing on, and is making sure that you got to have teachers that the students are what it's all about, and
the money to get it,
and
buy stuff.
And their own teaching, how they execute, as they say, their craft. And teaching the students, and so that's really important.
That is important.
So how can people get a hold of you, how can people get in touch with you?
If you go on the website for the school committee, it has my email address there, and I am always more than happy. That's one of the great things about being retired. I have the time to be able to put into this, that I can respond to people anytime that they want to be in touch with me.
And on a personal note, I think the town has a lot to gain from you being on the school committee because of your background of teaching. It's good that when you have good people who want to serve, like yourself, with the knowledge, and like I said, you're looking at it from two perspectives. You've been in public schools, now you went to college, now you're back in as a committee member, and so I mean, it's just talk about having.
And I have 3 grandchildren in the system. So.
Yeah, well, that's probably the most important part.
That is the most important part.
We gotta go. I want to thank you, Sue Panini, for coming in and talking with us today.
Yeah, please come back sometime if you want. That'd be great.
Sure, anytime. Give me a call.
And go Edmonton. Edmonton Oilers.
What time's the game?
Game 7 tomorrow evening, 8 o'clock.
Florida blow it. They blow it.
They blow it, and I think they're done.
They blow it.
They blew it, and I think they're done. They've looked completely out of gas, and I think Edmonton's going to win. All right, so that'll do it for today's program. Hope everyone enjoyed today's program, and we'll be back next week with another edition of Middleboro.
Danny Harmon from Distant Signals.
Yes, Danny Harmon of Distant Signals will be calling in. A great program, so stay tuned for that. And tomorrow, tune in to Middleboro Matters with me, Joey Driscoll, and that is at 11 a.m. tomorrow morning. Bye-bye, everybody. Have a great rest of your day. Bread of Life is coming up next.
Thank you. Oh, we didn't get to the schools.
Oh,
The buildings.
The buildings.
Oh, the buildings.
Bring-
Oh, I'll tell you the answer.
Bring
High
your
school?
architecture to the Korea next time, right?
Yeah, actually, that was part of my job. Is I oversaw the building at
Maintenance?
Prairie campus development
Oh, yeah.
plan. So the high school is in great shape, but our population's going to grow out of it. It's not big enough.
Oh, Young Valley?
Yeah, because the state wouldn't let us. They gave us the number to project for students, and we knew that it was going to be more than that, but they wouldn't let us build for more than that. It's built in a way we can add on, but in the long term,